Hello and welcome to System Gold. This is Randall, and I'll be talking today about the Introduction to Animation in Corel Photopaint X6, I forgot the T, Part 2. And basically the goal for these videos is to get you started with animation, and any problems that I ran into, I'll give you tips to overcome them. Now this is how I set up my page. It's a higher definition. I make the width 1280 pixels by 720 pixels, the landscape, and 300 dpi. The background color, you could either put it doesn't really matter because you're going to work over, unless you know what the solid color of the background is going to be. So you go OK. Now what I like about X6, I have X7, but I'm not using it. A lot of times I like to bring in a lot of objects at the same time, a lot of different images that I want to work on. So I highlight them all and drag them and drop them in here. X7 you can't do that because then they'll all be on the one image, and I don't like that change that they made. But anyway, you need to pull this out a little bit so you can see in the X7 it automatically is set up this way, so you don't have to worry about pulling it out. Anytime I do something, it pulls it right back in, like The Godfather. So the first thing you do is you want to set up the background. So let's make a basic background. We'll do the sky. We'll grab this. I'm left clicking, and then going over here, and it gives me my options. I'm setting rectangle. You just go a little bit beyond where you are. You could even do the whole screen. And then you do Control down button, and it's secured to the background. Okay, now we're going to do the grass. We'll just pick green. Get left click and right click on the green, and make the rectangle again, and then you bring how much grass you want. Control down button, and that's secured to the background. Now when you make the animation, movie, create from document rather. Usually I like to set up, I press this button, copy current frame, and I make about 30. You could always add more later. But what I like to do is start on frame number 2, because frame number 1, this is not very, there's not a lot of detail in this. This is very basic, just for the purpose of showing you how I do it. But say there was a lot of detail and you just put a character, you pasted something on here, then it'll be a real pain in the neck to have to recreate it. You're better off just skipping the first one. And if you need to, at the very end of your animation, when you're completely done, if you need to delete that, fine. Or if you want to take it and copy it and paste it into another file, that's fine too. So the first thing I want to tell you about is making characters. Now what I like to do is make a character. We'll make a simple character, make him simple, and make him loose. In other words, all his different parts will be loose. You save him that way, and then each time you want to use him or manipulate him, you copy that loose bunch of objects, paste it, and then you move it how you want, and then you flatten all those images into a new image. But you still have the original image there. So border, let's start with 5 border. Left click is the border, and the right click is the inside. So let's get a skin tone of sorts. We'll use this one. Okay, if you want to make a perfect circle, you have to hold down the Control button while I selected the circle, and then I'm holding down the left click, and I'm also holding down the Control button. If I don't want a perfect circle, then I could let go of the Control, and then I could make any size, any shape of head I want. Okay, there's my head. Now the thing is, when you're doing effects on the head, you don't want to do the effects on the black border. At least I don't. And you may find that the border is just a pain in the neck and you want to do it without it. So you just set the border to 0 and do it again. And there it is. But I like to use the border. It makes it more, I just like the style better. But if you're going to manipulate the inside, say you want to make it more of a 3D look, you left click on the square and you go down to the magic wand mask. You click on the middle. And then you could either Control C, Control V, copy and paste. Or you can just leave it like that and manipulate it. And then when you're done, you click either the square or the circle. And then you just click anywhere outside of the mask. And the mask disappears. If for some reason that doesn't work, which from time to time, if you're using the the Corel Photopaint for a while, sometimes little things happen and it doesn't work. You do Control R, and that'll remove the mask. So as you can see, this is a separate image. So if I screw it up, I have the original back down. Control Z, it's bringing back. Okay, so you go to Effect, Texture, and there's all kinds of textures you could use. I like to use the plastic. It gives it a little more depth. And this is how I usually set it up normally. And then I could go from there. As you're bringing it, the brightness, the depth, just showing you a little bit how it works. And I have it set to the light color. You could even set it for something slightly, lighter than this if you want it to be, if you don't want that much light on it. But usually I set it up around like this. Just a little bit of the highlight, a little bit of the depth, and a little bit of this. And for some reason I keep this, but you could change where the light source is coming from. The light source is coming from this way. You follow the arrow. This is where the light source is coming from. I usually have, you could do it any which way you want. And it may change depending on what you're doing in your animation. Okay, so I'll leave it like that. I'll give you another example. See, this is an example of how I'm copying loose images. So I highlighted them both, and you can see that they're both highlighted because they're both blue here. And you Control C and Control V. And you just move it over. Okay, so I'm going to do this again, make a new one. Control C, Control V. Let's try it again. What did I do? Control C, Control V. Oh, I just had this color, these colors on here for some reason. I just click this tool and I could copy it. As long as it's a solid color, I can pick a color off of here, but it varies throughout because of the effects. So this is the exact color. So it's always good to keep a solid part like this so you can get the exact color. Make sure it's highlighted and then use the bucket and bam. Another way you can do it is by taking the image and going to Adjust, Brightness, and you want it a little, you could do a little bit lighter and a little darker. So we'll make two of them. Copy V. Okay, this one will make a little lighter. So you do Adjust, Brightness. 0 down the middle is where you start off with. It usually leaves off where you did whatever you did last. It'll keep it that way. So you start off with 0, and then you can go with Intensity and bring that down. If you want it darker, but you want it still a little, you can mess with it however you want it. So that looks lighter actually. Let's get something just slightly darker. There we go. Okay, and then you take the circle you click and hold down and you bring it over, and you may have to do this a couple times. You click to undo it. Make sure you have that object clicked. Now if you have it selected with the arrow, but you don't go back to the circle and you click delete, the whole thing will delete. So you have to, after you make sure you selected it, you go back to the circle and then click delete. Now it's on the circle already. You just click here, you removed it. So now there's kind of like a shading. I put the dark shading over here, and then we'll try this. We'll do the light shading. I should have did it the same as this, but bring this back to 0, and then I bring this brighter. Do the circle again. Delete. And then you could see how it's a different way of doing some shading. And to make it more organic, you can just take the erase, adjust the size how you want it. Make sure it's the one you want is selected. And then you could just kind of fade it in like that. I put way too much, so let's bring a lot of it in. And select this. Some people like the nice crisp line like that, so they use the circle. Others like to have the, it's like this here, where it's like a fade effect. And if you do too much, you can just do Control Z and start over. I've done that many times. Okay, you get the gist of it. Okay, so now let's make some eyes. We go back to you click here. See, we have all different colors than we had before. You click here, you bring it back to the beginning. These are the main colors we use. So you left click for the black, and you right click on the white for the circles. I think I'm going to make perfect circles, so I hold down the Control, left click, and I forgot to put the border. We'll set that at 5 again. Actually, we'll leave this for him. Make a similar size. Wrong circle. There we go. Okay, here's this. The same thing goes for the eyes, for everything, every piece. So that's why some people think that it's a pain in the neck to have to deal with the, actually we'll get rid of this, to deal with the border. So we go to the magic wand, Control C, Control V, go to the square, click it, and then you go to the effects, texture, and plastic. And it's already set from what we had before. So the light source will be exactly the same. Okay. And now let's go. Usually I do the complete eye first, and then I just copy and paste it. I'll show you how I do that. So let's make blue eyes. I just right click on the blue. The black is already selected. Another perfect circle. Hold down the Control. Now you may find that the border is, I like to keep the border consistent throughout, but some people like to have smaller borders in the more detailed areas like the eye, or maybe no border at all for like this part of the eye, but I'll keep it like this for now. Again, the magic wand, Control C, Control V, Do the circle, click. And let's bring this. I clicked on this and then I highlighted the area. You don't want to highlight the whole. I just want the blue part. And along comes the border. So let's move it exactly where we want it first. Okay, now let's select just the blue area in the middle, effect, plastic. I don't like that look. So let's actually leave that for now. We'll make the black part, left and right click on the black part, make another circle, control, hold down the control and click. You could use the arrows for very slight movements. Now you select on the blue. And if you're not sure if you're on the blue, you just click on it, move it. Yep, I was on the blue. Control Z, you're back to where you are. And then go down to Effects and Camera, Lens Flare. Now I was already working on something, so it already did it for me. But you can control the size and the brightness. Make it way bright. We probably don't want it that bright. It's very subtle. It gives it some substance into the eye. Okay. And now I like to make the white circle. A left and right click on the white for the border and the middle are both the same. Rather than to change the size of the border each time, I just make the border the same color as the inside. It's just easier that way. Because you know you're using 5 the whole time, or I am. So rather than to put it 0, 5, 0, 5, you just left and right click on white. Now you make a small little circle. Perfect circle by holding control. You put it right like that. Now you highlight the whole eye. Control V. Now you could click and hold it down and move it over, but I suggest you use the arrows and just move it up. You could hold it down and let it go every once in a while and see how far it's gone. And you see how much space you want between the eyes. Now you can click down and grab onto both eyes and use the arrow again, make them fit. You may say the head's really not big enough for these size eyes. You could shrink down the eyes. You do control and you shrink not control, shift. You hold down the shift button, you grab onto one of these, you hold down the left click and you bring it down. You make them smaller eyes. They look all fragmented. You just click the circle again and then it fixes them. And the problem with doing this is that when I copy and pasted the inside of it and then I put effects on it, it pulls it away a little bit. So one trick that I have learned is you just select the eye in this case. See the little white around there? I don't like that. That makes it look bad. So you see where it is here, right? Control C, Control V. Now it brings it up to here. You want to find where it was before. So I should have remembered where it was. Yep, that's where it was. Okay, so it's now the top one, and you want to bring it just below the old one. So you know it's 13, you click on 24, then you click again and hold it, and you bring it down below 13. Okay, now with the arrows you bring it down one and to the right one until you get rid of that excess. And you can even do the same thing here. First you got to find out which one you were on. We're on 19. Let's see if we got it right. Control Z, that was right. It's 19, so we have to go under 19. So we had 24. Control C, Control V, and we move it to under 19. And we bring it over. So you can't see it anymore. And then you manipulate it. You make sure the border looks like it's the same all the way around, but you move a little bit closer to the area where it looks not so great. Now that that's done, you just go like this. Control C, Control V, and you bring them over here. And you could see which style you like better. Now for the nose, we'll do a similar color as this. Again, this is where it comes into play, where the solid color is best. One thing I must mention, when you do decide to make something larger shrink, it shrinks the border size. So the border is no longer 5, it's now probably 2 or 3. So it's good to figure out what size you're using from the get-go, but in this case, it works out. So now I'm going to do a nose by making a circle. We already have the border at 5. Left click for the black border, and we already right clicked on here for this color. Do the circle, and we'll make a little nose about like that. Now it looks funny with the eyes. Since we did the eyes at a smaller border, we should do the nose at a smaller border. So let's try a 3. See how it looks. Actually could have gone 4. Let's try 4. Perfect. Okay. I'll put it right in there. And then I make 2 more, make circles. Control, make a perfect circle. I could either take this and move it underneath this one. It's easy because of the top 2. So this one can go right underneath there. Or I could have clicked on this, Control X, Control V. In Corel, it puts it exact when you paste it. Control X, cut it, and Control V, paste it. It puts it exactly back where you had it. So this is the nose. You can bring it up, bring it in. By using the arrows. And let's make a little cut at the top of the nose. Make sure we have selected the nose. We did. Go back to the circle. Okay. You can even take the eraser and bring it so it's not affecting the eye at all. More of a natural way to have the nose in there. Okay. So what we can do is we can take these pieces, these are small pieces. So we could zoom in by using the scroll, or we can just change this to whatever we want. 300. You click on this, go to the magic wand again, click on this. Now you don't have to do Control V, Control C, Control V. You can just do it as it is. Effects, texture, plastic. Grab here with the left click and move it out of your way. It gives it a little substance to it. And you can mess with it and make it even more pronounced if you want to. I'm going to keep it like that. Just very subtle. Now we have to select this. And then when you select something new, it automatically leaves the old one. Effects, texture, plastic. It's going to stay the same as I had it before with this one. Okay. And now we'll select the nose. It selected everything, but that's okay. You're only actually selecting the object that you just have selected. So you do the effects, texture, plastic, and you'll see that it only messed with the nose. Now the nose, we don't want it quite that pronounced, so we'll go back to how we had it originally. Make it a little more subtle. Go to this, the rectangle, square, left click. Now you can bring it down, and actually you see how it connects with the rest of the face. So you take the eraser, actually make it a little bit bigger, 20, and then you just want it to be a natural blend. What I forgot to do was I wanted to keep a plain version so I can bring it over here and show you how I do it with these types of shading, which I still can do. I highlight the nose, copy and paste. Let's see if I can do this. I just did Control X. We'll make a new page. It's set up the same way I always do. Okay. Control V. Minimize it. Now I'm going to go backwards. Control V. Keep pressing Control V until the nose is how it was when we started. Now we take that whole nose and copy it and paste it. Once you get it in there, then you can move it around a little bit with the arrows, get it perfect. Now I open this up again, Control X, Control V. I actually didn't have. Now the nose we're not going to need to mess with, so you can flatten these three objects together. So to do that, you have them all selected already, and then there's a button here. This is one of the changes that I had hoped that they would fix when they made the X7, which they didn't. But they still have this option. You just click this here. You combine selected objects. Even though it says you can do Control Alternate Down button and it'll do it, but it doesn't. Okay. Oops. Sometimes it's the object's further than you think. Okay, we can put that over there and save it. We'll combine that as well, in case we need a flat version. We have this version, and actually we'll flatten this version too. Make sure you just got the nose. Control Z, go back, flatten it. Okay. Put this nose here. Okay, then you want to make, actually I'll show you some shading on this. So the light is coming this way on this guy. So let's scroll up and make it a little bit bigger. Okay, let's select the nose. Magic Wand mask. Control C, Control V. In this case, you want to do the control. And then you make the adjustment. You're going to make it a little bit. We'll do the darker one first. Actually, we'll do the lighter one first since it was already set to the same as this. If you're not sure what that one was, then you could always just use this and select it somewhere where it looks pretty solid. You right click on it, and then because the right click is the filler, make sure this is selected, and then you fill it in. Then you click this, or you can do the eraser, either one. Let's do the eraser since we did it. I'll start off with the circle. I'll show you both ways. Okay. I'll use the eraser to finish it. Very subtle, and you can always go back and take a little more off or add a little more. Okay, so now Control V, there's a new one, and we'll make this one, bring this back to 0. Doesn't have to be exactly 0, but whoops. And then you make this one you move up for brightness, this one you move back for darkness. So move this by 1. If we're not sure if that's the exact one, like I said, we'll select this and you right click on the part that you could find. Okay, and now we'll do it again like this. Delete. Then when you deleted the other one, you could see. See, it's very subtle. It's almost not dark enough to really do much. But it makes it a little more dynamic. On the eyes, you could make them solid objects, but you want to keep a loose version of them. Because you have this, 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 and this, all separate objects. So you take one eye, Control C, Control V, and you bring it over here. This is the loose version. Then you can make each of these by clicking this, solid versions. And when you do this, you're using a lot less of these. You see how quickly all these add up. And let's do it to the other figure. Combine them and combine them. What I was referring to earlier, if I could find it on here. Combine. Combine objects together. Control Alt down arrow. So let's highlight that. Combine. Combine all objects together. Control Alt down arrow. If I did that, it would not work because it doesn't work in 6 and it still doesn't work in 7. What you would find is that the whole screen would flip over in Windows. And then you have to do Control Alt up arrow, and that'll bring it back to normal. Then you have to go to the main screen of the Windows, right click. I'll do it now and show you. You right click, you go down to Graphic Options, Hotkeys, and Disable. And then the screen won't flip over. And then you go and you try this again, and it just doesn't work. I'll try it right now. Control Alt down arrow. Nothing happens, which is good because I don't want to combine the whole object. But I do see it looks kind of shady under here. It doesn't look so great. So I'm going to take this. It's object 5. Control C, Control V, and move it. You click on it to highlight it. It's already highlighted. Click again, hold it, and bring it under 5. Drop it, and then with the arrows, bring it over, bring it down. It's hard to do it at 200%. Let's bring it back down to 100%. Looks good. And you don't want it to be obvious that it's so much smaller, the border under one section. It should be pretty fluid, pretty consistent, rather. This side looks fine. Okay, so let's go back up to... So you have the eyes, which is loose, and you can take... The reason why you do this, I'll show you an example. So the guy's looking straight ahead. You take the eye, and actually we should have saved a loose version of the smaller eye because we shrunk it down. If we're going to use the shrunk down version, we should keep a loose version. But anyway, we could still do it. Control C, Control V, because you don't want to manipulate the original. You bring it down, you're going to manipulate this one. So you want this guy to look to the left. So you just want to move all of this. So you can just move it or use the arrow and have him look to the left. So let's do 2 of them. And we'll make this one move to the left. To make them consistent, you just use the left arrow. That way, you're not moving it. It's not going to be one's going up, one's going down. It's better to have them exactly the same. Then you could eyeball it, no pun intended, how close you are to the side. You could take both of these, since you want them both the same size, and you bring them over here. Oh, they are the same size. They look bigger to me. So you want them. Let's combine these. And then you could save these as combined objects and to use them later. That way you don't have to keep doing them each time. But you always make sure you have a loose version. Now you go right on top of the old one. And you're not sure if it's lined up right. I did it obviously too high to show you. Control X, Control V. Now with the arrows you move it over as best you can. And you want the eyes to be... You just want the eye to move. You don't want it to move out of place. So in this case, he's moving his eye to the left. You do the same one over here. Put it on here as close as you can by manually, and then you move it so it looks normal. Control X, and you should just see a natural movement without anything moving out of place. What you could do too is at this point, after you put them on in place, you don't want to have too many loose objects on there that you don't want. You click this eye and you make it invisible. These top 2 eyes that you just added, which I know were the top 2 images. Then you unselect them. Now you select these 2. You hold down the Shift button so you can select more than one object, and you just move them off the screen. You can save them for flattened images that you might use later. It also maintains how close they were together. Now you click these and they're back on. And this guy's cross-eyed, or not cross-eyed, but he's the opposite of cross-eyed. So that's what's good about that. And then you can do the same for looking up and looking down. But I'm going to move them back because he looks freaky that way. Now we want to go to the lips. Black border, left click. This is a guy, so we probably don't want red. But we'll select red anyway. Okay, something happened. Left click on black again. There we go. We're keeping with the 4 since the inside of the face, it works. So we use this as the upper lip. Control C, Control V, and just use the down arrow. Now we probably want the bottom lip to move in a little bit. So you hold down the shift button and you just pull it in, left click and pull it in. And you also want the top lip to be on top of the bottom one. So you left click, Control X, Control V, now it's on top of it. Now you can move the bottom lip, it'll go right underneath. If you don't like that shape, you could always make something a little more round, a little more fat than the top lip. And we could do it this way and move it like that. That looks better. Now these lips are just way too red. So we do the magic wand mask, adjust the brightness, and make it slightly lighter. And you do the same for the bottom one. See, we outlined it, but we didn't select it. See, it's still selected on there. So you select it, then you go back to this, adjust brightness. It's already the same as the old one, so it stays consistent. Then you go to the square of the circle, click to undo it, and there's his lips. It's a different story when he's talking. We'll get to that in another video. Let's do his ears quickly. So we're going to select this circle, and we'll do right click for this color and click here, left click for that color. Then we go to the circle and we make an ear. How big do you want your ear? How round? How big? How about like that? Then how I do it is I make another one inside it slightly smaller. And then I use the square and cut it. And then I move that in place. Okay, let's use the magic wand. Use the texture, plastic. Let's see how that looks when we put this on top of it. It looks weird with that thing there. So we highlight this and delete it. Doesn't look like it deleted it, so let's try it again. Delete. Okay. A lot of times when you delete, for some reason, it leaves a little bit there. So let's scroll and see if there is any. A lot of times there's like a thin line right there. So you just take the eraser, but there's nothing there, so we're good. Okay, it's kind of a weird spot for that shine. That's okay. Okay, you hold that control, you highlight them both, Control C, Control V, you bring it over here. And this is supposed to be a right ear. This is how you solve that problem. Control X, File New, okay, Control V, Image, flip horizontally, turns it around. You have it highlighted already. Control X, X out of this, No. Control V, and there you go. Now let's combine these ears with each other. We're going to flatten these two together and flatten these two together. Okay, now we have to put them behind. No wonder it didn't work earlier. Let's go down to the background layer. Right click. Yeah, we don't want a border. Left and right click. Select it. And then just do Control down, and it'll flatten to the back of the image without messing with anything else. So what we do here is we highlight this whole thing, Control X, Control V, and now we're free to put these objects in. I like to combine them like this. We'll start with this one. And now see, they're both selected. By selecting one by itself, it'll unselect the other one. So we wanted the bottom one selected, and then we just use the arrow and we go straight across. That way it won't be a little higher or lower than the other one. It's hard to eyeball it when you're doing this. Too far. And you got to look for things to go by. So in this case, there's like a slight little space here. If you don't want that space, you could certainly just bring it in. And then the same for this. Okay. And you get the point of the shading here with the ears and the mouth. It would be the same idea. Let's work with the lips. Control C, Control V. You got lips. Yeah, you click outside and it should unselect it. Sometimes it doesn't. You have to try it a few times. Okay, so in this case we want to make it a little dynamic. Control C, Control V. Control C, Control V. I didn't have it selected. And then we'll do this one as well at the same time. Control C, Control. If you don't have it selected, it's a pain in the neck because you end up doing things you didn't plan on doing. Okay. So this one will make a little dark. It's already on lighter, so we'll do lighter. Lighter. Okay, the lighter is on this side, but usually the lighter is on top, on the lips, or on top and then over to this side. So you can do it however you want. You can do it like a little lopsided like this, or you can just do the top part of it. And the same with this. In this case, we can make a better angle going this way. Make sure we have it selected down here. We do. Go back to the circle. Control X. Control V. Now the part we just erased and brought back is the part we wanted to keep. So this part we bring away. And in fact, now that we did that, Control Z, bring it back. We'll make it this color, back to the normal, and now we're going to make it darker than usual. And the same with this part of the lip. Control C, Control V. Circle, click it. Make this darker. It's already set to darker. Okay. And then we want to erase all of it except just a little bit on the bottom there. I think we want to get rid of some more of that pink. It's just too much for the lips. It should be very subtle. So we'll take the eraser. Okay. The bottom doesn't really seem to show up that much. So you're selecting on the separate little parts there. Just a little bit. And the bottom dark part can stay the same. So I actually didn't do any of the shading on the other one. So let's do the shading on this one, which would be Effect, Plastic. We didn't select it, did we? Let's do Control Z to get back because I don't know what I just changed. Okay, it's selected now. Effects, Plastic. If you don't like that little white part, you just bring the highlight, you can bring that all the way down and then just give it a little depth. And do the same with, select this, hit this, Effects, and it's already set. That's what's good about Corel. It keeps it where you left it. So if you're doing multiple items with the same type of shading, it keeps it. And then you do the rectangle or the circle, square the circle. These are two different versions of the same lips. And we didn't do ears. Okay. Right click for this color, left click for this color. We're doing the ears. Doing another one inside it. We do this. Delete. We'll bring this out. Magic wand. Boom. Make sure there's nothing there. If there isn't. You bring this over here where you want it. Let's highlight this. See, that part is in the way. Not that it matters that much because it would be underneath it, but let's select that. Magic wand. Control C, Control V. Circle click. Bring this over. Now we have to do Control X, Control V to bring it up to the top layer. If I'm moving too fast and any of this isn't making sense, just ask in the comment section. I'm trying not to make it boring, I'm trying to make it flow. But I'm basically just doing animation right now, and this is some of the things that so you see the mistakes I'm making. These are going to be the same mistakes you're making. So let's do two of those. Control C, Control V. We'll bring that to the side. We're going to do the bottom one. We'll do the bright part first. Adjust Brightness, it's in the dark part already. Okay, we'll do that first. And we'll leave, none of this really matters because it's going to be behind, but the inside of the ear is generally where it's darker. So we'll do something like this. Maybe we'll make a little bit around the ear part right there, just very subtle. And that part's left over. I'm going through and you can see which is highlighted. Control X, Control V. It's back on there. Now you want to make this part a little bit lighter. So adjust, bring this back to 0. Bring this up 10. And basically get pretty close. Very slight. And I think this one is a little much. I think we'll erase that part. On the outside of the black part, we'll erase it. Just make it a normal. These are the types of decisions you have to make. And it's all preference. There's no which, one way to do it. Okay. So we do Control C, and you remember we make another page. Control V, image, flip horizontally. Boom. Control X, get it out of there. X out of it. No, you don't want to save it. And V. Okay. Now let's combine these two with themselves. Combine. Ears are not something that we're going to really adjust, so we don't need to really mess with them. You bring these over here. Highlight the whole head. Control X, Control V. Highlight both ears. Bring them over to where you want them. Select just the bottom one now and bring it down. And you can see it with the squares representing the image. You can see how far it is going along. You hold it down for a little while, let go, and you can see where it went to. Or if you do it one by one, then you'll see how it slowly goes. But I like to hold it down because it's quicker. And you want to keep going back until the black is completely with the other one. So that's some shading and giving it some dynamic. You can see it as opposed to the other one. Just different ways of doing it. Okay, now we want to give them some hair. So let's say we'll give them black hair. Left and right click black. Now usually we want to give hair behind them and then in front. So let's start with the hair behind them. We'll bring this all the way down to the bottom. Now what kind of hair do we want to give this guy? Give him an afro. Usually you don't want to it could be straight across, but I like to use the circle. You bring it up as close as you can, and then you just, it's pretty much a straight line, but it's has a slight curve to it. It's the hair there. You might find that it's a little too much. So you hold down the shift and grab one side, left click, hold it down and move it in. Click the circle and it smooths it out. Now this goes straight into, and then this is slightly sticking out just a smidge. So let's see what happens if we move it over with one arrow click. Now it's over a smidge on that side. So let's bring this in, hold down shift and click. There we go. The reason why I don't hold down shift is because you're moving it in and it maintains all the other attributes. Okay, so now we want to make another one in the front part of his head. Okay, that fits in there good. And then the same thing with you could even use a rectangle to bring it up to a certain level. You want his hairline to go above his ears. And you want to kind of give him enough room to give him eyebrows as well. So let's make a slight curve there. Okay. Now the good thing about this is we can just hold down the shift key and we're selecting both hairs. Control C, Control V. I didn't know he had hair down there. Make a goatee out of it. Make a little beard. Control X. It's not selected. Select it first. I keep saying select it first, and then I don't do it. Control X. Okay, so this is a time where I'm clicking and it's not removing, so I could have to do Control R because we've been on here too long. I selected it. See how it's doing double? After you do this too long, it starts to invert. So that means it's going to select everything else but what I'm trying to select. So you do Control, Shift, and I, and it inverts it. This is a problem you're going to run into. I don't know why it does this. Control X. Okay. It's because I have two objects selected for some reason. Okay. All that for that little piece. Jeez. Okay. So this, let's highlight this, the whole head. Control X, Control V. And bring this behind it. And then this, Control X, Control V, this is on the front. And this should just bring right to the top. And you can give him a little beard too. Give him a beard too. Okay. One of the effects that let's do the eyebrows first, which would be double click on black, make a circle. Basically you hold down the Control key, make a perfect circle, but you want it bigger than the eye, a little bit bigger. Then you make a circle, and you go and you Control R. Control Shift I to invert, delete, Control R to remove. You move it up. Smooth it. This gets to be a pain. A lot of times you save what you did and then you go back into it. You shut down everything, restart, and come back, and then it'll be fine. But since I'm in the middle of doing this, I'll just keep going. So how far up do you want your eyebrows? Control-Shift-I to invert, delete, Control-R to remove the mask, and Control-C, Control-V, make 2 of these. Now, since he has it so close together, these eyebrows, you should thin them out a little more. And we should also bring them up a little more too. Control-Shift-I, delete, Control-R. Okay. It's a nice looking eyebrow. Rectangle, let's bring it up. Control-Shift-I, delete, Control-R. Now it has a different thickness from here to here. Let's keep it consistent. Control-C. We'll make a new one. Control-V. Image. Flip horizontally. Control-X. Exit out. No, I don't want to save it. Control-V. In this case, I'm just going to go by I. And you want to give them a unibrow. So let's bring it up even more. Control-Shift-I, delete, whoops, Control-Z. We didn't have it selected. We're selecting one. You can't select them both because it's only going to work on one of them. So you select this one, you go back to the rectangle, delete. You still have it set up for both. So now you select the second one, select the square, and then delete again. And then I click here for it to erase, and it doesn't work, so then I do Control-R again. Perfect. Now let's highlight both eyebrows, Control-C, Control-V, and bring it set over to this guy. Now for hair, there's different effects that you can use to make it look a little bit more like hair. You go to Effects, Texture, Creative, Weather, and you go to Rain. The direction is down, and it makes it a little gray. But it gives it a little bit of texture. You do it very light. And you do the same for the other parts. Effect, Creative, Weather. See, it has a little bit of texture to it. Okay, and then you can also, let's just select this front part. Blur. Not blur. Here it is, Wet Paint. Go to Distort, Wet Paint. And obviously that's too much, but you want it to be a little bit like hair. Let's try 26%. Okay, then let's use the eraser to kind of clean that up a little bit. Makes it look a little bit more like hair, no? Okay, so this, we do the creative and the weather. But actually, we're not done with this. Let's make this, let's add another piece to it. Rectangle. Add this part. And then this part, we can move it up. Control Z. Copy this, Control C, Control V. Control C, Control V. We'll take these two, Shift so you can select them both. Select all three. Or you can just go like this. And then you combine them. It's okay, they're a little shaded there because they're supposed to be, because we're making hair out of it. Control Shift I, delete. Now you want that same size circle, so you could just select the image and move it over. Go back to the circle and delete. Control R to remove the mask. Okay, now you do Effects, Creative, Weather. Just want a slight. You don't want it to be too much of a gray beard, but you want a little bit of light in there. I have the size is 10 and the drizzle is just 10 as well. Okay, and now we go to the other one. The Effects, Distort, and Wind, Wet Paint. I didn't try Wind. Let's try Wind this time. The wind will go this way. It's another option. So what we do is, because it pulls it away from the face too much, cancel. Control C, Control V. Now here's the second one. So when it pulls it away, there's still another one underneath. So let's do Effects, Distort, Wind. And the wind will go straight up. Since we didn't select it last time, it didn't change it. The strength is 100. Let's try straight down. See if that makes any difference. Yeah, we want it straight up. Effects. Do it a couple times. Distort. Wind. See, it's doing it from the bottom. Effects. Distort. Wind. Let's do it the opposite way. It's not doing too much. No, it actually did a lot, but I couldn't tell. Okay, so let's move this up then. Delete it there a little bit. Control C, Control V, and we'll bring it over to the other side. Okay, So that makes it a nice little beard. You could do the same thing with the hair, but usually the beard is a little more scruffy. In this case, you take the whole amount, the whole beard, and you combine them. And you put it right here. Control C, Control V, and you give it to this guy too. Okay. So this is all that I'll do today, except that I'll show you that you want which one you want to do, and you could save them both. But you want to make a new page, and you go to 8x10 vertical with no background. Okay. And then this is where I like to keep my objects. Control C. Control V. Okay. So then as I make their bodies and everything else and the different body parts, I leave them here. And now these guys are loose. Highlight just the one. Note, if you want to manipulate him, you highlight him, Control C, Control V. Now you move him however you want. You could change his eyes, or you could make his eyebrows by clicking here, and you move the 0. Oops. Gotta make it larger to do that. Control X, Control V. Okay. You take this little button here and you move it here because we're going to move this part up. You grab here, click it, bring it up. Click the 0 to smooth it out, and now we move it in to make him angry. Now instead of messing with this one, you just get rid of this one. Control C. You make a new page. V. Image. Flip horizontally. Control X. No, we don't want to save it. And Control V. And here it is. Exactly the way you want it. Now he's mad. You could also take the eyes. These are... and you Control C, Control V. And now you take the inside color. You right click on it because that's the fill color. And you fill it. You could also put a little bit of plastic on it. Not that much plastic. Something very subtle. I'll do a quick. Pull this over. Cover the black. There we go. Now we're going to copy this. And we're going to paste it. These we have already, so we're going to get rid of. What else is here? I don't know. Things that we can't see. Oh, those are those other eyes. Okay. I had them turned invisible. I forgot to turn them back on. So Control V, because we don't want to lose this. Control X. And we'll drop these eyes over here because we already made them. We could use them at another time. Minimize. Okay. We could keep this like this. Okay, we're going to get rid of the eye, but if we do Control V, we're going to paste it with that. So we highlight the whole thing. We can combine it if we want, or just do Control down arrow, and it's now, instead of going to every page and pasting it again and again, we're just going to click this button here, and that's to duplicate. If we just press OK, it'll make one frame right after frame 2, which is the one we're on, and it's just going to use the background color, whatever that was. I think it's white. But we want to copy the current frame, and we'll make, let's see, we'll make 10. No, somewhere maybe around 4. Doesn't matter where. Now I pasted the whole image over it. I don't have to do that. Even though it's pasted in the exact same spot, I could just bring the eye with me and delete all this and just bring the eye. Control X, Control V. Now Control down arrow, it's secured. Now for this little thing, we don't need 41 frames. So I want to make it 10 and 11. You go to Movie, Delete. You're deleting this current frame 11, and you change to 41, and you're deleting everything after 10. Now when you press play, where's the play button? Okay, you go to Windows, Dockers, Movie. Okay, there's the play button. Now 200 is too slow. I usually do 60 milliseconds. So let's go by 200, because then it'll give you a better, you could see it better. Now it disappears because the first frame was the one I told you to leave blank. And when you're done with the animation, you can delete it if you want. But say we screwed this up and we want to delete all these frames and go back to what we did in the beginning. We delete 2 to 10, and we have that first frame to start off with again. So since I like to use 60, to change it to 60, to change them all to 60, you click on this, 60, you right click, select all, and then you press enter and changes it all to 60. Now you're going to see how fast it is. That's not sufficient. So you could click here. This is another thing you can't do in Corel Photopaint X. You grab onto this and you just bring it to right where you want it. So you see the eye. And now you can either add another frame exactly like this with the eye, which is probably better, because if you paste it, it's not in the exact place and you have to move it. It'll look awkward with the eye moving around. So I'm going to make a copy of the same exact image. And I could always delete some of the other ones if I don't like it. So let's make one frame after this one and see how that looks. Play. Actually, that's kind of annoying right now with the one that's blinking. So we go to the first one and delete the frame. I can replicate this easily, so it doesn't matter. But let's see what the blink looks like. It's too distracting with that other blink. And that's his blink. If you want to make it slightly longer, you could add another one. Copy current frame, okay. Try it again. He's winking at us. And that's it for now, and I'm going to come back with a lot more information. I hope it wasn't too boring, and I hope you got a lot out of it. And this is Randall signing off from System Gold. I hope you liked the page and subscribe and all that other good stuff. Thank you very much.